My name is Andrew Baxter, and this is my leadership research project for EDU 525. The topic I chose was how do character traits in children impact their academic success later in life? How can perseverance, self control, and self regulation be better addressed in the school system? I chose to use How Children Succeed as my primary source by Paul Tough. Just an overview in the book. This book argues that strong character has a great influence on academic success than pure intelligence. These character traits include perseverance, curiosity, optimism, and self control. So the question is, how can our young people be transformed? How can we teach this in an urban setting? I'm currently in an urban school district. How can administrators help with this? How can they incorporate that into their schools? Throughout the book, several different samples of research are being discussed. The first one is actually by a non educator named Nadine Burke Harris. She was a doctor in California in a low income industrial community. What she did was she developed a survey called the ACE study, which was given to a sample audience, and it ended up revealing that traumatic events as children can lead to depression throughout life. So the adults who are identified with depression often experience traumatic events as a child. In an area facing poverty, this is more common as stress levels are high, depression goes up, and it can affect the overall health and directly affect them in schools. If a child is coming to school after facing a traumatic event, that child, I've seen time and time again, will act out. How can we as teachers and administrators address that? We have to understand that and find ways to make school a positive learning environment and picking up the child's self esteem. David Levine is the founder of KIPP. KIPP is a school system used nationwide. It is a very successful school system. It's a charter network, technically. It's not very successful in St. Louis, but in other parts of the country, it is very successful. The whole goal of KIPP is to uh, prepare scholars to succeed in college. And what's cool about it is it's a great source of data because they track the students who go through the KIPP system through high school and actually track their success in college as well. They monitor who stays in college, who drops out, what degrees do they finish with, do they finish from 4 year universities, junior colleges, all that stuff. And while David Levine was evaluating his data, he noticed that the more successful, the kids who were doing well in high school, had the good grades, or the scholars, were not necessarily the ones that were successful in college. And he dug even deeper. The ones he looked at that were successful in college were ones that had overcome some adversity in their life. Successful students, he came to the conclusion, exhibited optimism, resilience, and social agility. And he wondered how we can better prepare our students to do that. He challenged his whole system that he himself created. Jeff Nelson is the educational reformist. He's the CEO of One Goal. Um, he believed that teachers are the most important piece of transforming successful high school students into successful college students. With that being said, that's what most reformists believe in the area of education. He was wondering how he could incorporate character education into the classroom with a highly effective teacher. So he changed his One Goal program to allow educators, and this can only be done in certain places, but it's a good piece of data. Uh, he allowed his educators to recruit 25 scholars in their sophomore year who were not necessarily the best students, but showed some sort of spark of ambition or overcame some sort of adversity. basically scholars who had redeemable qualities. And what this did its sophomore year is it kind of kick-started the thinking process of what am I doing after high school? Okay, it gave them some inspiration on a crossroads of their life, if they will. These were on the bubble kids, and it ended up being a success in his one goal program. Very successful. Reforms happening constantly. The popular belief is that there are too many low performing teachers and low performing schools. The problem is, how do you get the good teachers to go to low income schools where the students and parents are often a little bit more challenging? Um, Bottom line, it's the only way you're going to get low performing schools to eliminate the achievement gap and ensure that everybody's getting an equal and quality education. With the reform, and I see this being a classroom teacher myself, uh, compensation, evaluation, and tenure are now being tested. My evaluation process has changed in recent years where we are being evaluated closer to how our students are doing on our tests. Okay, so it's kind of checking how the teachers are doing there, and that's something that should be uniform nationwide. With that being said, as an administrator, how does this increase capacity for effective leadership? Well, statistics do not lie. You have to share these stats with your staff. If I was an administrator, I would share these three research pieces with my staff. And then we would discuss how we can further character education into the classroom, into our sports programs. Scholars who have overcome adversity in their life went on to become successful college students. That was found by three different quality pieces of resource there. Okay. Administrators can make more of a point of incorporating character education and helping develop that in the schools. They must stay on their staff members and they must check for it. I would myself would have a checklist of things to look for in the classroom. Also, they need to recognize scholars who show strong character education as well as um, strong academic success. Bottom line, character has direct influence on success in the classroom and cannot fall on the wayside. And as our administrators, it is our job to ensure that that continues to happen. Thank you for your time.